everyone, and welcome to A Little Bit of Sunshine. I'm Mackenzie, and this month I've had the great pleasure of sitting down with my good friend Emma Wells and talking to her about year of service on campus. While I'll let her discuss that with you in a minute, I wanted to take a brief moment to discuss with you October and it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is something very near and dear to my heart. I think it's something that's very important to learn about, so I encourage all of you to visit nationalbreastcancer.org to learn a little more about that. Other things are going on this month, though. Since our last episode, plenty has happened. So to discuss that this month, I'm going to send this over to Blake Hudson to talk about what's happened in a month in review. Take it away, Blake.
Thanks, Mackenzie. On this segment of A Month in Review, I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest things that happen in the world, in my opinion. The biggest news is McDonald's is now serving breakfast all day, which is really big, but you can't get McGriddles all day or hash browns in most locations, which, in my opinion, defeats the purpose of McDonald's breakfast. Who wants hotcakes without hash browns? Playboy magazine will no longer display nude photos. They will still show some graphic images similar to Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, but no more nudity. I know that there's some teenage boys out there who will be pretty disappointed about this. The Chicago Cubs are in the playoffs. They have a shot at winning the World Series for the first time in hundreds of years, honestly. And the world is crazy about it right now. Go Cubbies. Anheuser-Busch bought SAB Miller, making Budweiser own over 50% of the beer market. Hopefully this does not drive our beer prices up. Evidence of flowing water was found on Mars. They speculate that 100 million years ago, Mars could have been full of lakes. This is big news. We could possibly live there one day when Earth dries up. And I know I said I was going to do 5, but just a 6 because it's really big news. Steve Spurrier, Satan himself, has finally retired.
A big thank you to Blake Hudson for taking care of A Month in Review. It's always interesting to hear about what's going on in pop culture this month. I'm sitting now here with my friend Emma Wells. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Thank you for having
How are
me.
you?
I'm good.
Good. I can't believe this is the first time you've been to the show.
I know.
It's been going on for 2 seasons now. We're in season 2, and here you are for the first time.
I'm so happy to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a senior biology major, and I've applied to dental school for starting in the fall, so hopefully that's where I'll be. I work in the student activities office, and when I'm not there, I'm teaching Zumba at the Cage. I'm also involved with ODK and year of service and a whole lot of other things on campus.
Yeah, you're just have all this spare time. I mean, how do you spend your day? How do you? I can't imagine having that much stuff. I mean, I'm busy, but you sound very busy, so I'm sure it's a battle.
A planner. That's how.
Yeah, I don't do that as well. I'm really trying. So before all of that started, though, you and we met long ago, 4 years ago now. Can you believe we're seniors? Okay, yeah,
No.
at SOAR. So, do you remember the story?
I do.
Okay, tell me about it.
You hated my hat.
Yes,
I had on a fedora, and she hated my hat.
It was horrible. It was
It's
horrible.
not horrible.
It was horrible at the time. Seeing it now, I know better because I've seen the hat. It's a nice hat. But I just didn't understand hats, I guess. I didn't realize people, wore those on a regular basis, like everyday apparel. I didn't realize that was a thing. But
It is a thing.
hats are a big part of your wardrobe.
Yeah, they
Like
are.
a big part of your wardrobe. So now I enjoy the hats, but yeah, that was really weird at first. And I just kept thinking, who is this weird girl and what is she doing in the student activities office with me? But now we're good friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's been quite the evolution of friendship.
4 years down the road.
Well, what we first bonded over, I don't know if you remember this, is, we know now, but we have a nephew, each of us, with very similar names.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Tate Jonas.
and I have Nolan Tate,
Mhm.
and they're about the same age. When was Tate born?
Tate was born in September.
Okay, and my Nolan was born in August,
Mhm.
and so they're just about a month apart, both
Yeah.
4 now.
Mhm.
So I just realized they just both come about, so we were
Yeah.
probably very into that idea.
Yes,
right then.
we were so excited.
But now, let's pull up a picture of Tate. I think do we have a picture?
Ah.
Is this at your parents' house?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It
A little
is.
Christmas
Christmas.
sleepover. Oh, Christmas.
Mhm.
Cute little tape. So, but now we're both moving on in the world back to freshman year where we're about to have new ones again.
Yes.
You just had one. When was she born?
Savvy Ray, she was born in July
July.
11th.
Well, my sister's about to have a baby, and she's due in December.
Mm.
So mine's gonna be a boy, of course. So you have Savvy Ray. I will have. I don't know if she's announcing this. Warren Cole. So to anyone who doesn't know, there it is. But do you have any advice for me? Like, what's the difference in having two now? And I mean, yours is a different gender, so I'm sure that's a big deal. But mine will be the same. So what's the difference in having two versus just the one?
I think the biggest thing is making sure you take the time for each of them, because both of our Tates I know are very wild and energetic and all that. But I think just taking the time, even though you want to love on a baby, because you don't remember that because it was 4 years ago, you still have to take the time and focus on the older one and make sure that he's fine and that he's having fun and give him some attention. So that's
All
the
right,
biggest
good
thing.
advice. I mean, it's coming up like a speeding race. You know, we're
Soon.
having our baby shower soon. So
I know.
yes. So moving back to Berry Realm,
Mhm.
you're a part of Year of Service.
Yes.
Now I was a part of Year of Service for 2 years,
Mhm.
and this is your second year being a part of it.
Yes.
But tell me about how it is because Year of Service is living with a group of people. So tell me about that process.
So we live in a cottage. Last year I was in Louise Cottage with 6 other girls, and this year I am in Emily Cottage with 9 other girls. So it's a big difference. So you go from being by yourself and living in a dorm and having yourself and your roommate and that's it, to you have this whole house dynamic where you're living together, you're eating together, you're studying together, and it really creates like community. And I think that's a huge aspect of the program. And the fact that you're doing service also kind of bonds that together, but it really makes you connected with the people that you live with.
I think that, and I mean, you may have different belief on this, but I think that this could only happen at Berry.
Mhm.
Because otherwise you get kind of the real world. You remember that show on MTV, The Real World? 7 strangers picked to live in a house. Like, that always goes awry. Like, but I feel like at Berry, it goes pretty smoothly.
Mhm.
In, I mean, some cases are different.
Yeah.
But for you guys especially, I mean, I've known because I've been your friend, but your guys' case has gone pretty smoothly as a
Yeah.
whole.
And we actually came, like, all the girls that were in Louise moved to Emily together, and then we just had to add extra girls. So it really worked out. We're very kind of just threw ourselves into it. It was like 6 girls, and we were like, hey, we know each other. Let's live in a cottage. We weren't friends or anything. But it just kind of was thrown together, and it really worked. And so we decided to continue, and it's just really grown into this great thing.
So what exactly is it that's, because it's 2-part, you guys live in a house
Mhm.
together, and then there's a service aspect of that. So what does that look like, and how does that process kind of work?
Yeah. Well, we work with the Open Door Home, which is basically a group foster care home in Rome, and that takes care of children who've been abandoned, abused, or neglected. And so these kids can be there anywhere from overnight to their whole life, and they have anywhere from 2-year-olds to 18-year-olds. And so what we're trying to do is, these kids see a lot of horrible, awful things that we can never even imagine. And so we just try to plan events that brighten up their life and bring them a little bit of sunshine, and just make their lives a little bit easier. So in the past, we really try to work with the kids, and so we've done ornament painting, and we've done a fall frenzy, and we've taken them to a soccer game, and in October we're having an outdoor Halloween movie, and then in November we're doing a farm to table type event and taking them around and showing them the cows and the sheep. So really just anything to brighten their day. But for Berry's side of that, for the Year of Service component, you're required to have 3 events per semester, and so one of those has to be a Berry event, so you involve the Berry community so that they can kind of see what you're doing. And then another one of those has to be in your community space, so in your cottage, so that you can utilize the space that Residence Life has given you. And then another one, just an extra. So it's a really cool program.
So I'm sure that this has for you great rewards. So what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it?
I think for us is just like for my house in general, being able to work with the kids and see a change made by something that we have done. Just being able to see this event made them smile, this event took their mind off something that has happened to them. I know that there are a lot of other cottages that like work with an organization, but they can't necessarily interact with people that they are trying to help, like the sexual assault center. You can't necessarily work with those victims of sexual assault, so they just raise money. But for us, we get a very hands-on experience with those kids, and I think that's very rewarding. And Michael Stevenson, who is actually the head of the Year of Service program right now, said it's one of the best things that he's seen at Berry, and I would definitely agree with that. I think just the service component combined with the living component is just a great just recipe for success.
So how do people go about, okay, so they're watching this and they want to get involved. How does that process work? When are applications, that sort of thing?
Applications will be available from Residence Life at the beginning of next semester, and they will be due February 19th. And so what that is you can get a group together and you'll fill out your application. And what it is like it asks you about your personal commitment to service. What is your service plan? Who do you plan on working with? And then once you turn that application in, you get selected to interview, and then you make a presentation to a board of Residence Life panelists, and they select you and place you in a cottage.
Okay. So as this goes on, you guys have been a cottage for 2 years now. You have this established plan. What does it mean when you graduate? You're all seniors.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to leave this place eventually. So what becomes of your specific plan?
Yeah. Well, we really want to pass it down because the Open Door Home has everything scheduled. Like, they depend on us to provide events for them because we typically do about an event a month. And so we don't really want to take, like, say we have done these 2 years of great work, but bye, like, we're gone
See
now.
you later.
So what we're really trying to do is we want to pass our program down to younger students who can kind of keep it going with the Open Door Home. So we would love if people are interested in working with us this semester and next semester to see kind of what our service is about and what is our purpose and what do we do. We would love to have people join us, and you can email me if you want to find out about that.
Well, thank you so much for being here and just for serving. I think that there's a big separation sometimes between Berry students and between the Rome community, and you guys help bridge that gap. And I'm thankful that you do it, and just thank you for being a part of Berry and such a bigger aspect of things, for making sunshine for someone else, if you will. So thanks for being here. Thank you all for watching. We're going to be back next month with another episode, and we'll see you then. Stay sunny.